Hello Instagram. So this is my first live on Instagram. Okay. So this is such a good filter for what I'm going to be talking about today, which is the... Oh, should I put a title? How do I put a title actually? Full moon in Pisces. I've never done this before, so how do I put a title? Maybe I can do a comment and then pin it. Full moon in Pisces and Mercury retrograde. And then can I pin this? There we go. Okay. So, I don't know if people will watch this back in the replay. So I'm just going to talk, and if anyone comes in, they can chat and whatever. So, full moon in Pisces today. It is happening in, so 7:51 p.m. my time in Australia. So that is in just over 4.5 hours. So wherever you are, just over 4.5 hours time, we're going to have the peak of the moon at its fullest in Pisces, and it's going to be the moon opposite the sun, because a full moon's always in opposition. I'm looking this way because I'm looking at the chart. I can't show you that on Instagram like I can on YouTube and Twitch when I stream on those platforms. So this full moon's pretty full on. There's like a lot going on. It's sort of like setting the tone and the energy for, like, it's not like a new moon like where so much for the next 6 months, but just like it's a full moon. Full moons in general are about releasing, letting go. And then we're dealing with Pisces, which is the last sign, which is about releasing and letting go. So it's that double whammy energy, because it's a real release so that we can start afresh and new with new things. And then having Mercury. We're also talking about Mercury today because Mercury is about to go retrograde. So it's been in shadow. And shadow means that it's been moving through the sign. And where it's moved through, it's going to go back over when it retrogrades. So that's the shadow area, because it's going back over. So it's Mercury retrograding today. It's stationing direct. So when a planet retrogrades and it stations direct, it's the most potent and strongest. Hey, Gypsy. Yeah, so this full moon is going to be intense. So we have not only the full moon in Pisces as well, but we have Uranus. I did speak about this last weekend too, but there's a few more things going on as well than just that. So we have Uranus in a trine with the sun and a sextile with the moon. So that trine with the sun is ongoing. The moon's so fast moving that the aspects it makes are only for, like, you're only going to feel them for a day or two at a time, basically. Whereas the sun is slower moving. It's only moving 1 degree a day. So we're going to feel any kind of aspect to that more intensely. So that sun is in that trine. So this full moon's happening at 17 degrees. So the sun is at 17 degrees. That Uranus is in Taurus is at 18 degrees. So the sun is going to spend a few more days, the sun moving 1 degree each day, within that trine to Uranus. So the sun's our soul. It's what lights us up. It's what makes us happy. It's It's a part of our purpose, and it shines a light basically on an area of our chart where we need to find some like vitality and energy, and put energy into that area of our chart. It's where we can find the most vitality basically. So, and when we're talking about the sun in Virgo too, it is all about our health. So looking after ourselves, having good routines, being organized, being, analytical and paying attention to the details, being of service where you can, being helpful, and doing the work where you need to. It's very much a sign that is very grounded, and it does the right thing, and it likes things to be done the right way as well. So that that sun is illuminating that. So it's bringing our attention and our energy to the fact that we need to pay attention to those things. And it's very much, the biggest thing about Virgo is always about our health, and it's our mind, body and soul. It's our mental health, our spiritual health, all those things. And they come where they fit into our daily routine so that we can have good vitality. So that trine with Uranus, and because we're talking about Taurus where Uranus is, and Uranus in Taurus is shaking things up. So Uranus is the awakener. It likes to stir and shake things up. And in Taurus, it's shaking up the stability in that area of our lives where it's not really stable. So it's like shaking up wherever that, like I said, wherever Taurus is in your chart, but it's shaking up those Taurus themes of our finances, our money, our self-worth, our confidence, our resources, our gifts and skills and abilities, and our ability then to support ourselves financially and provide security and stuff like that, and to be secure. And it's about stability. So Uranus shaking and stirring things up really helps us see where things aren't stable, and helps us then to really see where things do have good stability. And so we can then, move away from the things that aren't stable necessarily, like, or find ways to make things, more stable or whatever it is. So it's always to evolve us, to get us, Uranus, any transit with Uranus, any aspect, it's always to evolve us in some way, to get us out of our comfort zone, to, stir and shake things up, to revolutionize things, basically, is to help us to get unstuck. And it's very much an energy, a liberation energy, to liberate us. It's revolutionary, that sort of energy. The sun and Uranus in that trine then is, helping us to get unstuck, shake us out of our comfort zones, where we're playing it too safe, around, our, those themes. So it's like our finances, our money, and the sun is about us finding that vitality and that health and getting organized and all that. And that trine is providing that so that we can really, be, if we can find that health and that, vitality there through those Virgo themes, through good daily routines and all those sort of things, healthy eating, looking after ourselves, all that stuff, having a good balanced mind as well, then that's going to help us to find more stability and be able to tune in better to, like, looking after our finances and having more organized finances, and having better control over our finances and our money and our possessions. And also then that working with that Virgo and that Taurus energy, then it's like helping us to be more healthy and in balance with ourselves in our mind and our body and all that, so that we can be more confident. And then we can, that's what that Taurus energy is about too, that self-confidence and that ability to then use that confidence to go out in the world and to create, basically, because it's a very creative energy too. It's what we can, that Taurus energy is very thrifty in a way, or it's good at like using its resources to the resources that it has to do what it needs to in a way. So it's like doesn't need to always like step out of what it has. It can make the most out of what it has, basically. So the full moon's always, as I said, a release, a letting go, and all of that too. So this is, you know, a moon in Pisces is, so the sun is illuminating that moon. It's shining and lighting it up and showing us, bringing up to the surface any Pisces theme. So that can be where we wear rose-tinted glasses, where we don't see things clearly, where we don't see people clearly. We're like too stuck in our imagination, too stuck in other realities, where we self-sabotage, where we, again, like the colored rose-tinted glasses, where we don't see people for who they are, what they are, where we're seeing situations, idolizing things or people or situations, that sort of thing as well. So the full moon's illuminating that, and it's helping us to release and let go of any of those sorts of themes, so we can stop the self-sabotaging, so we can stop not seeing things clearly as they are, and not needing to escape so much as well, you know, into other realities, into imaginary or imagination land, or into whatever it is, like watching movies and zoning out or whatever. It's like, so we can get back grounded here on earth in that Virgo energy, of doing and being of service, and being able to, and this is also shining light and lighting up too, because we're always looking at the sun, that Virgo energy in this case, a release point, another point of view, another perspective. It's a pretty much another point of view, another perspective, a release point. There's that opposition sign too, so it can feel tense and like it's, you know, it's a hut, like we don't want to listen to that other point of view or whatever necessarily, because it's like fighting us, but it's to show us something. And that Virgo energy can be where, you know, we can't show up and be of service to everybody in our lives if we're not being of service to ourselves. So it's where that Pisces energy is so compassionate and can be so loving and so understanding and all that, but it's so much to the detriment that it doesn't care and look after itself, because it's putting other people's needs first and at its own detriment, basically. So the self-sabotaging comes in and all that sort of stuff, those Pisces themes where it's like not seeing things clearly and realistically and everything like that. So that Virgo energy is very much about us getting ourselves back in balance and on track, so we have healthy, balanced routines and get organized and all those things, so that, and start to be of service to ourselves, and showing us where we need to be of service to ourselves better, look after ourselves, give ourselves time and energy, so then we can be of service to the world, to others, and whatever else. And we can be more compassionate and understanding, because we're coming from, not from that, especially when talking about the ruler of Virgo being Chiron or Mercury, but if we're talking about Chiron, they're coming from a wounded place, but coming from somewhere where that's more of, you know, a healing, from like a healing position, not from a wounded space. Because that Pisces energy too is all about healing. So it's like going within, and especially the moon is very much an internal sign. It's a reflective sign, energy, so it's reflecting. And because the moon is at its full, it is, and that sun's shining that light, it is reflecting. So it's reflecting our emotions. So they're coming up to the surface to be seen. It's a release and letting go. So whatever we need to let go, release emotionally, that's holding us back. And it's, again, those Pisces sort of energy themes where we're maybe being too compassionate or too rose-tinted glasses, all of those things like that too. And where we're seeing illusions as well, like not seeing things clearly, seeing illusions and stuck in dreamland, or you know, also it can be where we're like so stuck within ourselves and our energy and our dreams that we're not actually doing anything and physically putting anything out because we're just so stuck up in our heads and in that mental space. So that Virgo energy, that sun, then again is illuminating, showing us how we can make our dreams become more of a reality and manifest them, bring them out into the earthly world through practical things, which is Virgo, through, you know, organizing yourself or planning things or writing lists or doing paying attention to the details or doing the little details to get to something big, you know, doing the little steps to get to something bigger. But yeah, getting organized, writing lists, like planning, all those things come into play when we're talking about that Virgo energy too. So that can help us to then, you know, bring those dreams into reality and not just be stuck in the imagination and in the mind and in the just buried inside us, because we're talking about the moon and our emotions too. So it's helping us to then use that creativity, that creative side that Pisces is. Like Pisces can be really romantic and really creative, and really that imagination can come out and be really like good with art and things like that as well. So but it needs that Virgo practical energy to be able to put it into place and be able to do something with it. And that Virgo energy is very much a doing energy. It wants to do things and get lots of things done, tick lots of lists off, and be of service and feel, you know, that's where it feels content and satisfied, when it's being of service and getting lots done. So what else do we have? So at the moment, right before that, so the moon is currently, I think it was about 14 degrees currently now, but before the full moon, and we're probably in it now, we're in this, let me go back and just see. Oh wow, it's like later than what I realized. It's 3 o'clock. So 11 degrees, 15 degrees. So it's more probably a couple of hours ago. We're moving out of it now. But we would have felt the square with Mars in Mercury, Mars in Gemini, squaring that moon. So before it goes into that full moon. So before we have that release, that letting go, that culmination. So the full moon is also a culmination, a celebration. So we can be coming to the end of projects and celebrating things. So it could be things that are to do with like our creative dream, our creativity, our dreams, our imagination, our any of that sort of stuff, basically. So that Mars and that moon in that square though is us feeling restricted. So it's like the emotions coming up to the surface, building up towards that full moon, and then that Mars square is really showing us where we're feeling restricted, where we're not being able to take action on how we feel emotionally, or what's emotionally driving us. We're feeling stuck and not able to take action on because we're too stuck in our heads, or there feels like there's too many things to do, too many things to get done, there's not enough time or whatever, because we're talking about a square, so it's Saturnian like too. There's just a lot of responsibilities, also where we are, it can be showing us too where maybe we need to take another path or go another way, because that square can also represent a detour. So it's like where we emotionally thought we were in one place, but it's pushing us to emotionally be in another place in some way with that square. And maybe we have to change our plans in some way or something like that. So the ruler of the full moon too is Neptune and Jupiter, but I don't really like to use Jupiter as the ruler, but if we are talking about it because it is a ruler, then we've got Neptune at 24 degrees, so in Pisces, so it's like a couple of degrees, not a couple of degrees, it's like 7 degrees away. So I like things to be more like 6 degrees, but when we're talking about full moon, same ruler in the same sign, then it's definitely something that's more needs to be brought to our attention. that Pisces, that Neptunian energy is like even stronger. And Neptune is all about that Pisces energy. That's what all it encumbers, entails, or whatever. But it's also, Neptune is the illusions, you know. It's it destroys boundaries. Like, it has no boundaries, it's limitless sort of thing. So it can, you know, again, be showing us where we maybe need to have stronger boundaries, where we haven't had enough boundaries, or possibly something like that in place because we've been too wishy-washy or rose-tinted glasses, or not seeing things clearly, or whatever. And it can bring up into and show us like that self-sabotaging side of where, and you know, where we're not then looking after the Virgo health side of us, and we're self-sabotaging through addictions. And it can be through like sugar, it could be through drugs and alcohol, it could be coffee, it could be sex, especially we're talking about Pisces energy too, through escapism, through like binging things like watching Netflix or video games, or where you escape, you know. It can be bringing up that sort of stuff too, shining a light and bringing those sort of things up to the surface for us to see. And all comes back to, with Neptune, is healing. It's to help us to heal. It's another planet that is evolving, helping us to evolve, like Uranus, but in a different way. So Uranus, being the high octave of Mercury, is all about the mind and the communication and the thoughts, and like having Uranus and like this Sun Uranus together too can bring through, and the sextile with the moon too can bring through some bursts of like inspiration, or like downloads of inspiration, or conversations that are like unexpected, or that like shake things up, or unexpected information or messages coming through, or things that are electric, because it rules electricity, things that like shake and stir us up, all of that, whatever. So it's so it can be bringing some kind of evolutionary soul purposeful message through to help us to move into the right direction and path, or whatever, you know. So that Neptune then is the higher octave of Venus, and that's all about love. And when we're talking about Neptune and love, it's an unconditional love, it's that compassionate love, it's a soulmate love. So and that's where we can, you know, when it's that soulmate energy, we can not be we can be too much of service to the other and be lost in illusionary and not in reality, because we're so swept up in the love and the feelings and the emotions, because we're talking about Pisces energy, Neptune too. So it's emotional, and it's sensitive, and it's passionate, and it feels everything. And that opposite sign is where we need to find that balance and that grounding through that Virgo, through getting back into nature and the earth and our physical body, and doing things out in nature, or being in the sun, or doing yoga, or exercising, or eating good healthy food to help ground us and balance us, and all that sort of stuff. And getting our environment, this is a very big energy too about our environment, because the moon definitely brings up our internal environment, but also our outside local close environment, which is our home usually. The moon, being ruled by Cancer, is all about the home and where we nurture and care for ourselves. So that it brings up that too, you know. And if we're not nurturing and caring and looking after ourselves, and we're out of balance and too much looking after the other or whatever, then we lose ourselves. So, and it can be bringing up, you know, where we can lose ourselves in others, or something like that, possibly, where we're losing ourselves. We're losing our minds, possibly too. Something like that can be coming up. Because Neptune having no boundaries, it dissolves, that's the word I was looking for. It dissolves boundaries, and it wants to blend and meld with everything, especially like that higher octave of Venus. It just wants to feel everything and just come together, that water energy, and just like it's the two fishes just swimming together and being in sync, you know. That's that Pisces energy. the 2 feet walking in sync together, the 2 hands working in sync together, whatever it is, that duality and that Pisces energy. And it's very much about going with the flow too, because when we talk about Pisces, it's about surrender, going with the flow. So this full moon's helping us to see where we need to release and let go and just not push so hard, because we need, and if that's that Mars square restricting us, highlighting that just before that full moon too, showing us where we're restricted and where we're, as I said, feel like we've got too much to do, or there's too many things going on, or whatever else. Okay, so then the other ruler being Jupiter, then in Aries, in its retrograding back, is, you know, that internal energy, and it's going to retrograde back and meet with Neptune as well in Pisces. And that Jupiter in Aries is all about ourselves, what we're about, who we are, what we're going after. It's all about us as an individual, us as leaders, us as warriors, and fighting for who we are and what we're about and what we believe in, all of that stuff. And that Jupiter energy expands things and brings like abundance on it. But in that retrograde, it's an internal expansion of ourselves. So we're going within and finding our own internal abundance through our spirituality too, because it's a very spiritual sign, that Jupiter. And through again, through finding ourselves and our individuality and what we need and what we want and what our desires and passions are and what we want to go after, and what we're driven towards and what's driving us and all that sort of stuff. So it's helping us to go within and find all that out again, and not, you know, be looking for it in the external world, but looking for that internal drive that really what passionately drives us, or whatever. So okay, so then we have we also actually have Juno at 14 degrees, so that is of Pisces, so it's conjuncting that moon, that full moon as well, and in an opposition then to the sun. So definitely illuminating all those themes of, because Juno is about marriage and partnerships, and it's illuminating again where we're too much being of service maybe to the other, and then we're not able to show up because enough and properly, because we're unhealthy, not looking after ourselves and showing up for ourselves and being of service to ourselves. So that's definitely coming into play when we're talking about Juno and partnerships and all that. What else about the full moon? So it is also in that sextile, and then again the sun is in a trine with that north node, so it is an element of helping us to release and let go, a culmination, a celebration, an ending point, so that we can move towards something else that is part of our evolution because of Uranus, but our future and our destiny and what's fated for us. So this can be bringing something up that is shaking us out because of Uranus to bring us something more fated into our lives. So ending and completions of things and projects, and so that we're moving then towards something that is more destined for us, the next phase basically. And it's like also because we're talking, remember, about those Taurus themes that can help us find a new sense of stability and new ways of earning money and making and having finances and possessions and finding stability and growing our own, you know, developing our own skills and abilities and self-confidence and self-worth and all of that sort of stuff, so that we can have you know, we can then use that in the outer world to have, you know, finances and have resources and have our home and have the pleasurable things, because that's what Taurus is about too, being able to have those pleasurable things to please the senses. Okay, so that's probably it for the full moon. I don't know if there's anything else I want to talk about with that before I go on to Mercury retrograde. I don't know if this cuts me off either at a certain time or whatever. This is my first live, so I have no idea on Instagram. What else? I think that's about it for the full moon that I can think of right now. Of course, I'll think of many more things later that I could have said or should have said. It's always the way. But I'll probably do a live tomorrow on Twitch and YouTube, where you'll be able to see the charts and everything like that. And we'll go through for each sign. I think we said we're going to talk about Mercury retrograde, where Mercury retrograde is happening for you. So for the next 3 weeks where Mercury is retrograding back. Okay, so talking about Mercury retrograde now. So this Mercury retrograde is super potent. It's been a long time since Mercury last retrograded in Libra. Mercury retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year, so it is common, and it's not something where we can just put everything on hold in our lives, as a lot of the themes of Mercury retrograde say, but rather we just take precautions and we pay more attention to the details, and we hold off where we can on making any big plans or decisions or anything that involves contracts or involves our mind or involves us having to use our voice or communicate or something like that. So Mercury is currently stationed to go retrograde. So when a planet stations, it means it stops. So it's stopped moving forward and it's about to go back. And I've spoken about Mercury retrograde plenty of times whenever I've spoken about it. And what it is that it's not really going backwards. It just appears to be going backwards from Earth's point of view. And it's just like if you're in a car and and the Leo King has always explained this the best way. If you're going forward, driving, and you come up next to another car and you start to pass it just slowly, you'll see that the other car starts to pull back and it looks like it's going backwards. And it's just our perspective, our point of view or whatever. So from Earth's point of view, we're seeing Mercury retrograde backwards, but it's not, it's just slowing down from how fast Earth is moving. So, and that's what it is. Mercury retrograde is a time for us to slow down, to take note of things, to go within, to rethink things, reevaluate, reassess, rework, all the re's basically when a planet's in retrograde and in those themes. So when we're talking about Mercury retrograde, we're talking about our communication, our thoughts, our technology. It involves, it's always a good time to like back things up. It reminds us. It involves contracts, business contracts, signing things. It can involve cars and electronics. All of those things. But this time, this Mercury retrograde is stationing direct in Libra. So it's all about relationships, and it's all about the way we communicate and we relate with others. And this is relationships, one-on-one relationships, and also our business partnerships as well. So it's going to also retrograde backwards enough that it's going to go back into Virgo. So it's going to start in Libra, go back into Virgo, then move forward, back through Virgo, back into Libra. So its end game, end point, Mercury retrograde, is Libra. And it's to find that peace and that balance and harmony within our relationships and the way we relate to others in our business partnerships. So where things are out of balance, where again, it comes up this energy. This is why this full moon is so potent too, because this Mercury stationing direct at the same time. And one of the rules of the full moon energy, being the sun involved in that full moon, is Mercury. So not just Chiron, but Mercury too. Mercury is stationing to go retrograde. And this, as I said, the stationing part is the most potent time of the retrograde. And then we'll start to go, it's where we've already could be feeling the themes as they've happened the last 2 weeks, bringing up stuff that we're going to go back over. But today can be really enhancing it and bringing things to the surface so that we can see clearly what needs to be reworked or reevaluated or rethought or whatever. So yeah, all about finding peace and balance and harmony within our relationship. So it's Libra is the judge, it's the liberator, it's the what's that other word? I can't think of it. The dictator as well. Libra can be. So yeah, it can bring up all those themes around what's out of balance within our relationships and how we relate to others. So how we communicate, if we're not speaking up and, you know, communicating enough, or about how we feel or our emotions or our thoughts or whatever. Again, Libra energy is always about where, because we're talking about Mercury, and it's all about, again, communicating. It's the mind, it's our thoughts and thought processes. It's like, and that when that Libra energy comes in, it very much is the people pleaser energy. So it's like where we're not speaking up and communicating our needs and our thoughts and what we want, because we're wanting to please the other and not wanting to cause disharmony and have arguments and fights and be out of harmony, basically be in disharmony. It's very much wants to keep the peace. It's the peacemaker. But it also, Libra energy can be so much that it's trying to keep the peace and not upset anyone, that it can be white lies, you know, where we can have, you know, the white lies come out where because it doesn't want to hurt or upset anyone. So it's the judge too, it's can bring up where we're judging others too much, where we're judging ourselves too much, and that's affecting our relationships or how we're relating to others. If we're too much in judgment of everyone in our relationships, we're just going to keep, and it's, you know, when we're talking about relationships, it's all about Venusian energy, which is about attraction. So what you put out, you get back. What you put out, you attract. And if we're putting out that judgmental energy all the time, then we're just going to attract more judgment back towards us as well. So it can be showing us then too where we need to rethink, reevaluate those sorts of things as well. So we're going from the retrograding Mercury retrograding back from Libra into Virgo. So when it's back into Virgo, it's then about us getting more organized in our, you know, daily practices, our health, our mind, our body, our well-being, getting rethinking, reevaluating, all that sort of stuff, so that we can get more organized and get healthier, so we can have better relationships when it moves back forward. We can have better communication if we're ourselves aware in balance and good health and all that. Then we're going to be able to better show up for relationships, because talking about Virgo energy too, it's very much about being of service and showing up. Again, that Virgo energy is being illuminated, or coming up to the surface of, are we looking after ourselves? Are we, you know, able to be of service and show up for others? Are we able to communicate what we need to? Are we able to be able to work and get things done? Are we able to plan and, you know, have lists and have things, schedules and stuff like that, so we can achieve and get the work and things we need to do, because that Virgo energy wants to be of service and get things done and work and all of that. So yeah, so it's helping us to organize ourselves better, so that we can then be able to show up better in relationships and show up better for ourselves in relationships by being able to be in balance and harmony and peace within ourselves. And then we can communicate what we need and our thoughts and our desires and all that, and not be stuck in just pleasing mode of pleasing the other to keep the peace and the harmony. So it's going to be very much, yeah, a rethinking, a reevaluating energy. And if we're looking at, we have to look at the ruler too. So it's going to be itself, Mercury, when it goes back into Virgo, but also the Venus, the Venusian energy. So Venus is currently in Virgo as well. So, and we've spoken about Venus in Virgo, and that is, again, so that Venus and Virgo energy is where Venus wants perfection in that sign in Virgo. It wants to be of service and show up as much as possible. It wants to have the pleasure, experience pleasure through being of service, through work, through having good health, through being organized, through being the critic, by being helpful. And that Virgo energy comes across as being too harsh and too critical on that, because it's the fixer energy. It wants to fix things. So it's very much in fixer mode. So Venus being our relationships, where we find pleasure, our money, our finances, is in that Virgo fixing energy. So it can be helping us to fix our relationships with money, fix our money, our organization with money, and how organized we are, and how we're able to, save or have money for things that we need or plan or whatever, and helping us to find pleasure through being healthy, through having good wellness, through being organized, and being able to, wake up and feel healthy and feel good. And through, wants us to have pleasure through being of service, being able to show up for ourselves and for others. It's also about showing up for ourselves and serving ourselves, which I spoke about, that Pisces moon, Pisces energy. So again, it's going to matter where Mercury is retrograding in your chart, so wherever Libra or Virgo is. And if you, I say it all the time in my other videos, but if you haven't watched before, you can go to astro.com and you can get a free birth chart, and you can see where these energies are, and then you can follow along with pretty much any astrologer, and when they talk about what house it is in, you'll know what area of life it's affecting you. You can also go on my Discord. I've got a bot in there that you can type in and get your birth chart, and then you'll know again. And if you post in Discord, I can help you as well. Oh, my mouse just went off. Come back. My screen's gone off. Sorry, I reformatted my computer. I haven't changed it to the screen not go off yet. Okay, so I think that is pretty much it. Again, so that Venus energy, so we're talking about that Virgo, sorry, I'll just really say that Mercury, when it does, and the ruler being Venus, Mercury retrograde, the ruler being Venus, and just Mercury in Libra, the ruler being Venus. And Venus is, showing us where we're being, striving too much for perfectionism, to where we're being too critical or hard on ourselves or others, or expecting too much or whatever. Those sorts of things as well can come up. Being too nitpicky, that Virgo can be like that. Also being too uptight, where we're being uptight, where we're it's Virgo the Virgin, so we're being too uptight in that sort of way, as well, or being the grandma. It's like that Virgo, Venus Virgo energy is like the grandma. It's going to be, making sure it goes to bed at 9 p.m. and not staying up and being up too late or whatever. And, and if it's like, that's good sometimes, but then it's going to miss out on the pleasurable things because it's too stuck in its routines and what it has to do and get done. And the opposite sign of Pisces is going with the flow and just being in beauty, like looking for the beauty in things and trying to find the pleasure in things. And if you're too stuck in everything that has to get done and be done, then we can't find have that, basically. So Yeah, so I think that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. Tune in tomorrow. I'll hopefully, well, I will. I'm going to go live on YouTube and Twitch, and yeah, have a happy full moon. You know, be compassionate with yourself, be gentle with yourself. It's a good time to meditate. It's a good time to relax, sleep, to tune into your higher self, get in touch with your spirituality, to look after your health, because we're finding balance within the mind and the body. Get into nature, start a new routine, start a new diet or exercise plan, or yeah, something that's going to help you to get in balance and find peace and harmony within yourself, so that you can show up and be of service to others. So again, about be of service. How can you be of service to yourself so that you can show up and be of service to others? That's probably the best thing we can ask ourselves for this full moon. So take care, and thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. And make sure you follow all of that stuff as well. And I don't know how to end this. Uh-oh. How do I stop it? Oh, I think